This truck literally just arrived. It's sold to a customer. This is what they look like when they come off the truck. I'm from all the way from Vermont. The first step we do is take a quick gander. I did a walk around. The undercarriage looks terrific. So now we just have to drive it, see how it drives. And then we'll take it up to our service team and put up on a lift, order whatever is needed, get it serviced, and get it ready.
All right, sounds good.
So interestingly enough, vehicles always tell you their own story. First thing I looked at here was the little window sticker, and it told me that the vehicle was serviced at the Ford dealer, and it's a Ford. So that's the first thing we should know is the habits of the person who owned it. Second of all, it doesn't have any check engine light. And the third thing, which is really interesting to me, is it has just under half a tank of gas. The two things that I find very interesting are, and these just kind of idiosyncrasies. If the tire quality was middle of the road or good, that means the kind of customer was a good customer. They didn't buy junk tires, and they didn't wait till the thing was worn to death and then traded it in. That's a good quality customer. Second thing is, it's kind of funny, if you have at least a little bit of gas in it, it means one of two things. Either the customer was reasonable or the dealer was reasonable, and they didn't siphon all the fuel out of it before they dropped it off. So two little funny, I guess they're not statistically correlated, but just little idiosyncrasies I've noticed over the years.
So for the viewers who don't know you as much, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into this whole business?
So my father's a mechanical engineer, my mom's an aeronautical engineer, and I went to college for engineering for a little bit. But my uncle owned a car dealership, an independent Mercedes shop. So I grew up working there, starting at about 16 and a half. My friends would go to camp, I go to work. I worked every summer through college, and when I graduated, he had just opened up a big dealership in Boston. When I was 26, I was the manager of that facility. We had 40 people working for me, and we had a captive leasing company. We did all the things. And one day, I went to a store in New Hampshire, an outlet store, and bought a couple of gold watches. They were solid gold. They were about $2,000, and I got them for 75% off. And I got home, and I said, what am I going to do with these two gold watches? And I investigated the internet back in 2000.
Wow.
And I found this thing called eBay. So I sold a couple of watches on eBay, made a few dollars, and said, I bet you can sell cars here. And so there was no category for cars yet, so I put the cars up in the toy car section. And I started selling a car every 4 hours.
Wow.
So I said to myself, I bet you should do this. I went to my uncle and I said, this is what I'm going to do. I sell cars online. And I started selling them very quickly. And I said to him, we need to shut down this $20 million building and go strictly online. This was back in 2001. We were still on dial-up. We used diskettes to put into the cameras. I mean, it was crazy. And he said, if you really feel that that's important to you, you should go your own way, because I'm sticking with the bricks and mortar thing here. And so at 29 years old, with negative $700 in the bank, I started the predecessor to this company called CarBank. Long story short, here we are 2022. We have 12 million a year in sales, 14 employees, and we sold this month, it's the 18th of the month, and we have sold 46 cars in 18 days, minus Sundays. That means 46 cars in 16 days.
Wow.
The secret to this success is not being smarter than anybody else. It's just, I trust that God has a plan for us. And I pray, and our staff, we all kind of go to church together. We come from a church family. And we just ask that God give us grace. And so when we screw up, he kind of glues it back together again. And because of that, I have no fears. I have none. So when something new comes down the pike that we can try, like eBay back in 2001, I don't mind setting off with negative $800 in my bank account to start a company. And so that's where we are today. 2007, when my first company failed, I lost everything, basically. I lost just about everything. And I had a major suit against a billion-dollar corporation. Their multi-billion-dollar corporation sued me in Indiana. And I had to take my kids out of daycare. And they would ride around with me to do test drives with my customer. Every day I would go to the social law library in Boston, and I would study and read about the law so that I could respond within 21 days to every complaint or every back and forth. And that continued for 2.5 years. So if you've been through those kind of things, at the time you hate it.
Yeah.
It's painful. But you have to trust that God has a plan for you. And that education that I received in those difficult times has carried my business and grown it and helped me to, navigate future mines and prepare myself for many different kinds of economies. So this is our fulfillment facility. Every day, trucks come, drop, trucks come, pick up. Today we have a bunch of BMWs.
Yep.
This is what we have.
Okay.
This is a black M6.
Yep.
This actually is an order that we filled. The customer hasn't even seen it yet. It arrived 2 days ago. It's being serviced and readied, and they should show up any day now and pick it up. They've already done all their paperwork. They've already funded us. This is another order. This is what they look like when they show up. They've still got their stickers and dirt and all kinds of stuff, but you can see that it's all there.
Yep.
And we filled that order for a customer. So if you look around, we're in an industrial park. So there's some financial efficiency in being in facilities that cost us 1/10 or even 1/20th of what a retail dealer would cost. If you go out in Route 1, they have $25 million buildings. Their cost of carrying is $200,000 a month. Guess where that money comes from? It comes from the customer.
Right.
So we have a significant difference. Our differences are our cost of ownership and our overhead is low, and our touch with our customer is very high. We're consultative. Most car dealers buy what they know. So if our Honda dealer or a Volkswagen dealer, you'll buy Hondas and Volkswagens and maybe a couple of cars that are ancillary to that.
Yeah.
What we do is literally to make the phone ring every day. The marketplace for automobiles is about 400,000 to 500,000 cars per week. And we'll dig into that and find the best value of that week. And it really doesn't matter what the brand is. We just like cars that have a good reputation.
What is the biggest misconception about car dealers?
Well, it's actually a very fair misconception.
Okay.
Most car dealers are not that honest. They're not that upfront with what they do.
Of course.
And I'm not saying that that's actually true. That's the misconception.
Yeah.
In reality, there are many car dealers that are really good people and want to do a good job.
Yep.
And the problem with them is not them, it's the system.
I see.
They work in a system that has extremely high overhead,
Yeah.
and their demands by their owners and manufacturers are causing the problem.
So let's say if you're a high school kid and you're trying to buy your first car, what are some things that the kids should think about? I know budget is a big thing, but a couple things that they need to consider before buying their first car.
It's funny, people talk about money as the first thing when they want to talk about a car.
Yeah.
But in reality, money is never the decision maker.
Okay.
If you come in and you say, I'm not buying a red car no matter what, if it's worth $15,000, I tell you, you can have it for $8,000, you're still not going to drive the red car.
Right.
It's not the case. They talk about it, but it's not really the case.
Yeah.
So cars will tell you their story. And I was just sharing with you, look at the tires and the brand of tire, look at where it was serviced, look at the car, and don't necessarily say, I won't take a car in an accident, because sometimes a car that's had an accident is a perfectly good car.
Yeah.
It's really about who took care of the car and how they took care of it, and whether it was maintained regularly. And if you look at those things, the car will speak volumes. And that's what you're looking for. Is the car telling you that it's a good car?
Right. So, in any job, any work, there's always a level of stress. How do you personally deal with stress after a long day, or even like the phone call you get at the middle of the night? How do you personally decompress or deal with stress?
I've really just grown to believe that there's no solution to life other than God's grace in my life. And I'm not saying that as a watchword. There's some people that talk the faith. I have to live it. If I didn't live that, I couldn't be in this business or any other business, because I'm able to take big risks with what I do, trusting that the Lord, my Savior, is going to prepare me physically, mentally, and emotionally to deal with all the difficulty of it. My father taught me as a child, when I was 3, 4, 5 years old. He said, when something goes wrong, being angry about it doesn't fix it. It simply makes it worse. So just don't be angry and don't be frustrated. Just figure out how are you going to fix it to the best of your ability, and go fix it. There's an overarching answer to the question, and it's really simple. Trust in the Lord, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. That doesn't mean He'll make them straight today when you're under the pinch. He'll make them straight in His timing. All things work for the good for those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. All things, not some things. So I have failed as a human being. I have made terrible mistakes. I am not perfect. But when I make mistakes,
I know that my Father will pick me up.
Charlie, it was really great to have you visit today, and thank you for following me around. Thank you for watching Work is Life. It's a great thing.